What is up, everybody? We should be live now, hopefully, if this is working. Hey. Give me just a moment here. If you came over from Amanda's live, you know that was intense, man. The first probably 5 minutes of her live was just her going on and on about how heated she was. It's pretty crazy. I thought it was pretty. Oh, first I should probably explain the picture. It has to do with what we'll be talking about today, but I just found this cool app that'll just make you look like when you were younger. You as a little kid, basically. And so I decided to use that. Hey, we got lots of people over here. John Billings, first one to comment. Heck yeah. Nice. Dang. We got John Billings with us, Popcorn Golden. We got Todd, Taylor, Sarah, Nicole. Thank you guys for joining. This is Evening with Eskel, number... oh my goodness, 63. We've been going consistently every week for 63 weeks now. It's been wild. For those of you who are new here, we basically just get on here to have discussions. A lot of them really go around things that have to do with like cults or like very controlling or restrictive environments and things like that. But overall for me, my goal is just to be able to have a good discussion, allow people to bring any questions, go back and forth from the comments so that you guys can be a part of the discussion as well. I have a lot that I want to share today, especially with talking about my sister's live that just ended. She did her Culty Cup of Coffee live. And I took a few bullet points because I really wanted to bring it up because she was so passionate and so it was just very intense. And so watching her live, it was so hard for me to type in everything I wanted to say in the comments. And I had so much that I wanted to say about what she was talking about that I figured I would kind of turn my live into a little bit of a continuation of that. But yeah, she talked about how there were that it's very common for some of the sister wives to persuade or convince some of their own sisters, usually their younger sisters, to marry the same husband that they have. She was talking about how there's not very many choices oftentimes with marriages, even though they, I could tell she was kind of fighting with this whole thing of trying to interpret or discuss in a way that the cult members would kind of at least somewhat see where we're trying to come from, why we view what they are doing in such a negative way, why it bothers us so much, basically. And so when she was talking about how a lot of the times the way they approach marriage inside the cult, a lot of the cult members, they hate when we use the word arranged marriages. Even though to us who have left and been away from it and kind of can see it from an outside perspective, and of course all the outsiders that have are able to see what this cult environment is like, it's so easy to see that they are practically arranged marriages. And the order tries to do little things like give you at least this choice or this choice, or just give you at least put two choices from you, so you're making the choice. They try to use manipulative tactics so that they can claim that they're not arranged marriages and stuff. But it's not too hard. You don't have to look too far or to look into it too much to realize that it's still arranged marriages. They're just putting a twist to it, I guess. They're trying to make it look less controlling, but it's not working very well. But this is very common. Within the cult, they are very restrictive into what you are allowed to do, what kind of control that they even give you, because oftentimes they want to, in essence, choose your career for them, or they want you to, build the kingdom of God, build up their church in their way. And so for them to assign you the jobs or the career, the things that they need done, is the easiest way for them to do that. So they just like people that are submissive and just do what they're told, follow the law of the one above them. She also talked a lot about the pressure, man, the pressure of sharing your experiences. And I gotta give her a ton of credit for this, man, because if you guys follow both of our YouTube channels, she started years before I ever started my YouTube channel. I used to just make videos in my living room and use them as like documentation, as therapy, and like just cool ways to like share, like tell my story. But I never had the guts to post them for the longest time, even though I loved editing. I loved learning about like what kind of cool shots I could get. Like if you watch my videos all the way back, like the progression I have made is amazing. It's so cool. Like I can't even fully comprehend it. I'm just so glad I've been able to finally be okay with putting my stuff out there and basically developing this talent that I've always wanted to. But Amanda was the first one. She was so brave and so like had this push or this desire to share her story and she shares now that it's really to warn people and to, in essence, protect people and help people avoid those same problems that she went through, that other victims have gone through. And so I think it's very inspiring, and I hope that she gets that inspiration and realizes how much good she is doing. And I hope she never stops sharing her stories and sharing the truth. So, but yeah, I think she's been doing awesome. It's definitely can be wild. The type of content that we share is very interesting. It's very different, but it's unavoidable for us. We've had countless conversations. I've talked to so many people about how making videos, oftentimes like just being funny, creating like comedy or like different entertainments, is what people like watch the most. You know, it's what'll be the most popular, what'll get you to grow the most and things like that. But it's like there's just no way that we can create our public platform basically an extension of who we are, sharing our stories and the stories of people around us, and just creating content about our lives in any way, shape, or form without it some way, somehow, somewhat lapping back to where we grew up. And we grew up in a cult, and there's no avoiding that. There's no trying to pretend that didn't happen. And to me, it seems pointless to just try so hard to forget it and put it all in the past and never talk about it and, pretend it never happened. Because it's a part of who I am, and rather than be ashamed of it and try and forget it, I'd rather embrace it and find ways to live with it and understand it better, and if at all possible, use that to bless other people's lives or to help other people through anything that they might be struggling with, And so I'm definitely grateful for being able to have a platform, being able to have so many people willing to listen to these stories and help share these stories and be curious about them, wanting to have discussions themselves to better understand why we have cults, like what's wrong with our environments and our communities and, just the way that we think. Why are there so many narcissists? Like, oh my gosh, the world we live in is crazy. But anyways, okay, let's see here. Awesome. We got a donation from Denise. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We got Emily on. Todd, what's up? Nice. Heck yeah, so many people. This is so cool. Sorry, I'm gonna get some water. This week for me has been awesome. I've had a lot of fun. A lot of you guys probably know Michelle. I was able to babysit her kids a little while ago, and I made a video with Harper about the different candies. I think it was, Denise sent me a box of snacks and candies from around the world. I think these ones were like Asia or Japanese specific or something like that. And so Harper and I tried all these different candies. They were very interesting. And it actually came with this juice too. I wanted to share this because I was amazed at how good this was. It's I know I'm going to say this wrong, but it's the lychee juice. It was really good, and it was super fun doing the video with her. And it'll be on my Patreon tonight or tomorrow, and then I'm going to edit it all together into an actual YouTube video and hopefully post that sometime this week. But that was one fun thing I did this week. I enjoyed it. What's up, Sally? Thank you guys for joining. Yeah, a lot's been going on. Are we finally getting the Harper interview? Yes. Yeah. So the reason why I never posted her interview is I I filmed with Harper I didn't really know what it was going to be, but yeah, I guess you could call it the Harper interview. I just filmed her asking her questions about her mom, if she knew anything about like her mom's childhood, and just asking Harper about like her day-to-day life and what she does for fun. But then when I brought it all back and was putting it together, it just wasn't enough footage to be anything. It would have been like, a 2-minute little video of clips of her talking about stuff. So I just didn't feel like it was enough to post yet. So now that I also have her trying out all these snacks, and there was so much, she's very picky, honestly. She spit out so many of the snacks, or she would like lick it and didn't like it enough, so she would just toss it to the side, or she took a bite of the seaweed and oh my gosh, she hated it. She spit that out so fast. But now I have at least enough content and funny shots to put together into a little video. So that should be coming soon. She's so cute though. And she says the funniest things. Like her parents don't mind her. I guess they don't like, they're not so restricted like a lot of other parents. Like to me, even for me, it's very different. I'm trying to, I don't know if I talk about a lot about this, but like with like cussing and stuff, I try to balance like my own understanding, if like how I want to, involve that into my life. And I'll swear sometimes because I feel like there's a purpose in some rare situations and whatnot. But hearing a little 4-year-old swear and like call you a bitch and stuff like that, for some reason, it like shocked me so much. So she does say that a lot throughout the interview, and I just laughed so hard. I couldn't help it. Like a part of me was like, should I be laughing about this? Am I encouraging her? But I couldn't help it, man. It was so funny. And she's cute. She's not like actually being rude or anything. She's the funniest, cutest little girl ever. I had so much fun watching her. And just asking her questions. Michelle is so good. Like, I think she's going to raise them awesome. Her kids are going to be so cool because she's so good at just being super transparent. She's way honest with the kids, and like, just if they are old enough to ask questions about it, she will give them the best answer she knows how to give. And so I just think it's awesome. I'm so excited to see how her kids grow up, and just kind of hopefully continue to do interviews with them and stuff. Just hang out with them a lot. They're so fun. I used to think it was mainly an American thing, cults that came out for a mix of religion, freedom, and American cultures movement in the 60s. But after seeing how many are in other parts of the world, I think it's just a universal human thing. Yeah, that's one thing that I feel like you'll notice more and more. The more you deep dive and research cults, you'll realize that it is far more common than we would have ever guessed, and they are quite hard to understand. I think it's more of a like human nature thing, or maybe a like evolutionary thing, or a mindset thing. I don't know exactly, but the more I research it, the more I look into it, the more I feel like it's almost inevitable in every parts of society. Everywhere you go, it seems like there's going to be different cults and different things like that. So I want to, because I'm going to be talking about a few things that might be controversial. Not people might not like these topics and these discussions, but I want to talk a little bit about them to see what you guys think, to share my opinions, and let you guys know that, of course, I am still fully developing my understanding of it. I'm still researching it and trying to find out for myself what I truly believe, or what my true viewpoints on this is. But to start this off, because I want to talk about child labor. And the whole reason why I decided that this could be a great discussion is I was just talking with a group of friends that were not from a cult, just regular old outsiders that I thought, like, I guess I expected a different reaction. And we started talking about child labor, in essence. And it was just simple, talking about, like, how, young kids, there's, like, all these laws and, like, restrictions of young kids working and stuff like that. And I just brought up my opinion up, and I was like, I can't believe people are having these kids work so young. I can't believe, like, they oftentimes when they're like working for a family business, they won't even pay the kids and this and that. And I was so shocked to see them be like, what's wrong with that? That's not a problem. And I was like, wait, what? You first of all, you want your kids to work for free? Like, that seems odd. And then we started diving deeper into it and talking about how, like, there's been so many issues. Like, we were looking up these young actors, like children actors that had been overworked and like oftentimes would work more than the legal amount of hours that young kids can work for like jobs and stuff like that. And then the parents had full control over their money, right? And it was just really fascinating to see how like strong people's opinions were on this and how different it was throughout the different people that I talked to on this. So now I want to get your guys' opinion. It's basically going to tie back to the whole idea of cults, how they are becoming more and more common, how they're basically everywhere. So I want to share the cult's definition really quick, because this is one thing that I feel like we oftentimes have to go back to the roots of our understanding so that we can truly dissect and more fully understand what it is we're talking about, why it applies to us, and then why it even matters, why we would want to learn about these things and better understand them. Okay, so, and I bring up this definition because if you're in a cult, you probably don't know that you're in a cult. I can't tell you how many order members I talk to that are like, stop calling us a cult. Like, just call us a religion. And it's like 90% of religions are cults, first of all. But also, if you don't, like, you probably won't know that you're in a cult. The last person to know that they're in a cult is the cult members. So, here's the definition of a cult. It is very broad, and so it can apply to lots of things. But it is a system of religious and, veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or an object, a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Now, I feel like that's tough because small can vary. Like, if you're talking about world population, then even 1 million can be relatively small. But things that others regard as strange or sinister, that's very broad. And what others? I guess it's talking about like the majority of the rest of the human population or something like that, because it would only take one culture or one society to look at another culture or society that's just different from them to think that the normal everyday things that they do is also strange, or what did it say? Yeah, strange or sinister or just abnormal and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know. Although it can apply to lots of different things, I think the idea of like a cult or like strange behaviors or like basing it off of a religion it's like the real idea of a cult is something that people is using to like be controlling and restrictive, but putting religion into that, like basically manipulating the whole idea of like religion or gods or spirituality to get something out of somebody. And to me, that's what the biggest issue is. Because I don't mind so much if, you do weird things. Who cares? Different cultures will probably do things that other cultures will think is weird and vice versa. That's not what I care about so much. I care about when a group of people, any religious or not, when you are using your beliefs or your group or your following or whatever to manipulate people and then take advantage of people, especially when it's for your own gain and your own benefit. When you basically have to step onto other people so that you can get what you want, that is what I feel like, to me, what a true cult is, or like cult mindset is. And so, anyways, now that we got that out of the way, let me check to see if we got anything interesting in the comment. Oh, we got Abigail here. Welcome, Abigail. Casey, welcome. Flicker Fade, welcome. Let's see. I'll read a few comments before we dive in because this is going to be a long one. But I can't go too long, though. I planned a lot of stuff today, so it's going to be crazy. A lot of people saying hi to each other. I like that. I think it's interesting how it says religious, though. But what is religion? LOL. Yeah, that's why, to me, religious or not, like, you you should not be using whatever group or culture or society. No, what's the proper word? Your community to take advantage of people, you know? That's how I feel anyways. That is horrible. Maine has pretty strict rules on child labor. Thank goodness. Yeah, this is another thing I'm hoping you guys can help me with. Feel free to comment any child labor laws you know of or any absurd laws that you've seen regarding like young children or like the labor laws that a lot of the different states have. Because even just here in America, it varies so much. It is shocking to me. Emma says, when you don't have the tools or the choice to live your life to the fullest, that's the worst part about it. You don't even know what's out there. Yeah, it is tough. Eskel, we were talking about Iowa. They just allowed people under 16 to work 6 to 7 hours per day. Wow. I would have loved to work at 12 because I was homeschooled and didn't want to work for my parents to earn money. Okay, see, even just within our, everyone here commenting, there is a wide variety of beliefs or opinions and ideas on this. That's why I thought this topic would be so good, because here's the thing. When I was talking to my group of friends, I kind of did put on like a very strong opinion that I had and belief of what I felt was right or what should be with child labor. But I really try hard, and I want people to know that even if your opinions are different or you have different ideas, you should feel free to be able to bring them out and to talk about them. And I'm not going to hate on you. I'm not going to shut you down. I want us to be able to have good, healthy, worthwhile discussions without being afraid or feeling like, oh, my opinion doesn't matter or whatever, It's like I want everyone to feel comfortable and feel like this is a safe place to be able to discuss it out, because I think that is the first step to creating a better society, or at least improving on what we have. So that's my goal here. So no matter what your opinion is, what beliefs you have, feel free to share them and let's talk about them, because I don't know the best way to share this, but it's okay to be wrong, basically. Okay, so don't get mad at me. I'm sure some of you guys aren't going to like the way that I view child labor and things like that, but some of you guys will. So it's going to vary, and we just need to be open-minded and understanding to one another during this discussion. Okay, and hopefully take things away from it. Because more importantly than what your opinion is, I want to know why you guys have that opinion, or that belief or understanding, because you may have had life experiences that I've never had, or maybe can't even understand because of the lifestyle that I've lived, So let's bring these all to the table and let's talk about it. First one being the child's rights. So children's rights. Do young kids have rights? And of course the answer is that they do. And where's the line? At what point do the kids have rights, have their own individual rights, versus their parents have full control over them? And then can kids make money, or at least have the right over their money? So finances with young children, if you're not an adult. Because for example, a 17-year-old, can a parent just screw over their 17-year-old right before they turn 18 and just take all their money and take all their things? Because technically that's their kid, that they help them get all that stuff or whatever, do the parents have the legal rights to take all that away from them? So what, first of all, is your guys' thoughts on oh man, I forgot one thing on this. Oh, and then we're going to talk about child labor laws too. Yeah, how much they're able to work. And that one I think is huge, because I think kids should be able to work, To me, what bothered me growing up was the fact that I didn't get none of my freaking money, I worked hard for that, and my parents were just siphoning it away from me, And, I guess if like, I gotta be really careful with how I choose these, because I know that there obviously should be restrictions and limits. Like, you don't, like, kids should be able to live their lives and experience what childhood is like. And for me growing up, having a job very young, like, it was the best thing ever. I wanted to get out of my house. I had so many siblings. I had so much chaos going on all the time that going and working at that printer shop that I worked at when the first job I ever had was at some printing shop. And I was like 14 years old. And it was during the summer because I didn't have school. I just went to go work there, and I remember it was just so nice to get away. I didn't really fully understand what a job was. I had no idea, like, any concept of, like, if I was making money or not. Like, the part that I hate the most about it is the fact that they never taught me the actual implications of finances and the true meaning of having a job. They just were like, they treated me exactly like I was, basically just this annoying little kid, one of the many, like, go work in the shops and just get out of my way, type of thing. And of course I didn't appreciate that. I feel like even though as a young kid I didn't fully understand that, and I was so happy to get out of the house and get away and to go do something, it doesn't mean that was, the best thing for me. That wasn't obviously a good developing environment for me to grow and learn and to become the best, child that I could have been. Whereas if they could have been like, okay, it's like good, better, best kind of, like it would have been great if they would have helped me understand and gave me a choice, asked me if I wanted to work. That would have been so nice. Like, I don't know why that's too much to ask for. But then to just be honest and transparent about the finances, because there's one perspective to look at it where it's like, sure, if you're working for a family business and the family is using all of that money to literally survive, that's a very different scenario than if you're just working for some uncle or some person in the distant cousins or families, and they're just using that money to make a profit and they're keeping it from you and they're not sharing any of that with you just because you're younger. Whereas if they can at least be transparent and open with you and leave that more up to you, that's one of the things that I wish could happen more. Because even though kids are young and oftentimes seen as not able to make their own decisions, my personal experience is that they know way more than you would understand. They're a lot smarter than you would have ever guessed. And every opportunity is a learning opportunity. Like, if you think they don't understand certain things, then that's kind of on you. Like kids are so open to developing and learning and growing that you could teach them anything, And so I think implementing things to make it up to them, even if it's like I wouldn't want to be so forceful as that you have to always pay kids. Obviously, that would be great. You should be able to appreciate your kids' labor and they should be able to get paid for what they do, right? But like in some scenarios, if all that money is literally going towards the family to survive, then it's understandable to present that with a child and talk to them and be like, hey, we could use your help in this shop or in this family business or whatever it is. And like, we're only going to pay you $1 an hour, or we're not going to pay you. Like, is that okay with you? Are you willing to work with us on this? And if you're a loving, healthy family relationship, that kid's going to be able to make decisions and better understand the situation that he's getting into and not just be blindsided and manipulated into just doing it. Like, the order will sometimes even just put out a number, or not even put a number, but say you're getting paid and then you never really actually know, or like they just won't pay you, so they're straight up lying to you. And I guess to me personally, what I hated the most was the dishonesty, the lack of understanding, the lack of transparency. And so to me, that's what's most important, even though, of course, the best case scenario is to make sure that they're always valued for what they're worth. If they're going to work for you, whether it's a family company or not, then they should be compensated for that. That's clearly the best way to teach them what their worth is, help them understand how the economy works, how jobs actually are ran, and then help them to be governors over their own finances, better understand what they need to do for budgeting or how expenses work and things like that. But okay, enough about me. Let's see what you guys' thoughts are on this, and then let's talk into ownership, like kids being able to actually have things in their name. Because even bank accounts, minors can't open bank accounts here in the U.S. without a parent's cosign or whatever, without someone tied to their account. Let's see here. Oh, that's interesting. In the UK, hardly any kid works before the age of 16. And if so, it's just a paper out or going around washing people's cars for extra money. That's how it should be. Yeah, see, that's interesting. Now, for my experience with paper outs were the worst, man. I kind of forgot about that because the first job I considered my first job was working at the Photoshop company. But when I was even younger, before I even worked at the paper shop, I did a paper out. And it wasn't mine, though. That's why I didn't really consider it a job. It was one of my siblings, like my older half siblings, had gotten this job of a paper out, right? And I don't know what he got paid at all, but he would come to me and some of the young kids and be like, hey, you need to help me on this paper out. I'll give you like $1 or something, like some absurd tiny amount of money. And he would wake me up at like 4 a.m, put me in their car, and we'd go and drive around town, and he'd give me a bunch of papers in my hand. I'd go running around, and like I had no idea what I was doing. I would just take it, and there was some sort of system on the paper of which papers to throw at which houses, and I'd just chuck them on the porch of the houses, running around. I remember it was freezing cold. I was tired. I hated it. That was true, like, child labor, man. The worst of it. I did not like that. That was a very bad experience. But no one ever asked me if I wanted to work on those. That was something I was like completely forced into. I did not like it. I had no say at all. I could have easily like shared my opinion of not wanting to do that if anyone would have asked. But like with the Photoshop, I probably would have said yes if anyone ever asked me or brought up that conversation. I didn't mind working at the Photoshop. It was not nearly as bad as doing the paper outs. And I felt like I was like learning stuff there too. I completely agree, Emma, but feel like that works in countries where we take care of our vulnerable populations better. Okay, yeah. See, that's a really good point, Denise. This is going to be different in every country too. And like, maybe this is why I'm so like open to the varieties of different ways that people do it, is I served my mission in a third world country. I think that's what's called, third world. Just a very impoverished country. If you guys know, like St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, some of the Caribbean islands, when I was living on those islands, like it was just extremely common that like all the families had to come together and do whatever they could do to make money or to survive, and they were very much like I don't know if you'd even call it like business savvy, but it's like, they all worked together on whatever it was the family was doing as young as they could. Like if the kids could go out and like climb the trees to get the fruits and stuff like that, they all did that together, and that was just their way of living, their culture, their lifestyle. Very different. It varies throughout all the world, I'm sure. There definitely needs to be privacy laws for parents who stick their kids online for money and views. Yeah, I feel like the whole Hollywood and like movie side of work is very different. That's where most of those like lawsuits and those big stories about parents taking advantage of their kids comes out, because first of all, like there's a lot of money involved, and sadly even the parents of their own kids get very greedy when there's money involved, and everyone tries to take advantage of that. It's really sad. Susan says, in the state of Maine, minimum wage goes up every year. Looks like it's now at $13.80 per hour. That started on January 1st of 2023. I think they want it to be $15 by 2025. Okay. Yeah, the sad thing about that is I think that has more to do with inflation. It's getting harder and harder to survive off of minimum wage. That, they're trying to combat it, but at least in the US, inflation is getting crazy. Like I'm no expert or anything, but even I have felt the need to like trade out some of my cash that I'm holding and to put it into something, because I just think the dollar value is going down, but if you can get it in other things, but everything's risky. So like, I'm not giving any advice or anything, but like, if you break it up and put some of that money into like a car for an asset, or like gold and silver, or like stocks and investments, or a home, even though homes are very controversial right now because the home market's also whack and crazy, but that's with everything. So I think diversifying is, at least going to make it less risky, because if you have all your money, your whole life savings just in cash in a bank, it's guaranteed to go down with inflation, right? Who knows how much? Nobody can predict it. Nobody really knows. But at least if you diversify it, it can change it up. Is that my blanket on the wall? Yeah, it is, Amanda. You could tell just from that. I love it, though. This background is so cool. I like changing it up, trying something new. So, um, welcome, though, Amanda. Glad you could make it to the live. What are your thoughts on all this? Amanda, at least last time we talked about it, you had very strong opinions about child labor, child rights, and things like that. How Amanda calling Eskel out. I was wondering where that went. Yeah, you left it here. I didn't take it from you. You just left it here. So I was like, I'm going to put it to good use, okay? The bank won't even give them that, or at least they are not supposed to. Yes, Denise, where I live. Where the minor is the beneficiary, the minor can only deposit money into it. They won't even give them a balance. Oh, really? That's interesting. I used to work in a bank. Minors can't open accounts, period. Parents can open a custodial savings where where the minor can at least put their money. That's so weird. Abigail says, I wish kids had more of a voice when an adult is reprimanding them, if that makes sense, but I think that's more on bad adults. Yeah, that's the sad thing. Really, this comes down to the characters of the parents. Why are parents, so they lack empathy a lot of the times, or they're so either greedy or ununderstanding. I feel like this wouldn't be a problem if parents were just loving and, truly cared about their families and their kids and took care of them properly. But I think in the sad reality, a lot of the times, like the case of people in the order, it's just kids having kids. And so nobody really knows what's going on. Everyone's just fricked up, And so one problem just leads to another, and it just kind of like train wrecks into more problems. And I don't know, I want to believe these parents aren't intentionally trying to just have these kids so they can basically have slave labor, I would hope that they, there's more to it, or maybe they just lack understanding, or it's just a mistake that they're making. But sometimes it does. It looks like they're just kind of like taking advantage a lot of the times, and it's really sad. But then we come to the whole legal side of it, where legally parents can. That's one thing that's very interesting. As far as I understand, when we Googled it, and how much can you trust Google? I tend to trust Google a lot, but parents have full control over everything the kids own, everything to the kid's name, like all of it. So they really can screw over their 17-year-old kid if they really wanted to. And I know from firsthand experience, like my parents were able to screw me over, no problem. There was nothing that I could do. There may be loopholes. Like I now have a friend that's like a lawyer and like knows a lot of law. And so I like spitball ideas with him and talk to him about like what potentially could happen, or like, what are the best case scenarios in situations like that. And there are some loopholes. There's some ways for kids to at least fight it, or to have somewhat of a say. But then it's all up to the judge in those rare instances, My partner opened a bank account aged 11. His school helped all the kids sign up. I find that weird. Interesting. So a school helped all these 11-year-olds create accounts? That's kind of interesting. Oh man. Wow, this really got you guys chatting though. Lots of comments. I love it. LOL, LOL, Eskel. Give Amanda, give her blanket back. Actually, don't. I like it as a backdrop. Right, Brooke? That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, Amanda, but it's found a good home. Okay. Inflation up here in Canada is really bad too. But what is even worse is the extremely high federal carbon tax that is on gas, etc. Oh, so is gasoline like really expensive up there? That's one thing. See, this is also a controversial topic because people fixate so much on gas. And I mean, it sucks, but it's just like with anything, prices go up and down. Like for me, it's cars. I'm like, oh, I love it when cars are cheap. I like buying and selling cars and stuff. And it's the best. But when they're up, I just don't buy or I sell what cars I do have. Um, and that's the same with gas. Like when was super expensive, I kid you not, I rode my electric longboard more. I skateboarded places. I just like, I don't know, I rode public transit. I feel like, and this is just my personal experience, it was not that hard to adapt my lifestyle to barely spend anything on gas. And at least for me anyway. And so it it didn't affect me too much, and I thought that was kind of interesting because apparently gas is something that's huge that affects a lot of people, and I don't know. That's something new to me, I guess. Susan says, I agree with you on inflation. Looks like federal minimum wage is only $7.25 an hour and hasn't changed since 2009. That's terrible. Yeah, that's literally for at least the whole of America. That's the minimum you can pay no matter like what state you're in. Because there's state minimum wages and then the federal for the whole all of America. 725 is pretty low, but yeah, that's exactly what they told me that I got paid when I started working at some of the order places. But yeah, that's definitely not enough to live off of at all, unless I don't know. Amanda says Marianne Barlow made that blanket. LOL. Shout out to her. Has more talent in her one pinky than I do in my whole existence. Oh wow! But Mary Barlow made this, you guys. It is a blanket, but it makes a great backdrop. So that's awesome. Thanks, Mary. I'm pretty sure I had a bank account at 12. That's cool, Flicker Fade. Yeah, that's why I wonder what the actual bank guidelines are because I've heard of kids having accounts, but they're almost always associated with their parents. I've never heard of an independent child, like alone, without their parents or anything, having their own bank account. But if you did, Flickerfade, share more. That would be interesting. Flickerfade says with like $200 in it. LOL. Hey, $200. That's a good amount of money for a 12-year-old. At 12 years old, I would have. That would have been so cool. I would have felt rich having that much money in my own bank account. Man. Casey says Maine is really great in terms of minimum wages. Rest of the country is pathetic. You can't live on $7.25. Yeah, that's true. And Denise says, plus people died all the time back then, so you needed extra. Oh, what is she talking about? Amanda says, but legally they cannot charge rent, right? Utah law at least states that you have to provide a roof over their head, food, etc. So if a child is being forced to work for rent, yeah, that is illegal for parents to charge their kids that are minors for rent. And that happens in the order all the time. But that's the thing that I think is like how do you resolve something like that when the alternative could be them simply just taking all of their money? And it's like, okay, that's definitely heartbreaking, and like they must not. It seems like they wouldn't have a soul to just take all their kids' money and just not give a crap about them. But as far as what I understand, I'm still doing research. Legally, parents can do that, and it's pretty messed up. But maybe it's just a test to see how crazy the parents would be. I don't know. But it's definitely wild. John Billings, gas doesn't affect me much. What? You drive for work, though. I would think it would affect you the most. That's interesting. Okay. Denise says, Susan, you didn't have cards. I am 41, always had a card. I am on card number 28. Many have gone through a period of losing them in my 20s. Cards. Is that a Canadian thing, or are you talking about just credit cards? I like credit cards. There is this fear people are talking about the government tracking all of our spending and everything, and basically no longer having cash. Like everything will be bought like electronically with digital currency and stuff like that. Which when I first heard that, I was like, sweet, just pay with everything with my phone. 99% of the times I buy stuff, it's with my phone. Just tap it, buy it. And then when I go to places that don't take Apple Pay, I get kind of annoyed. I'm like, what the heck? I have to carry cash around with me or whatever. But the reality of it is, it can be, in a lot of ways, good to still have cash, because that just shows that you have more control, and there's not so much restrictions in everything having to be digital or everything having to be, certified or approved by the government. You being able to do cash transactions, it's an important part of our economy. At least I think so. Wow. I'm going to have to skip ahead of some of these comments. Denise lived on her own in her own apartment at 17 and was in university. That's cool. So your parents trusted you to go and live on your own. I had an hour or longer conversation with order members about why can't teenagers move out of the house, or even full-on adults, actually. The rule in the order is you can't move out of your parents' house until you're married. Doesn't matter if you're 18, 16, 25, 50, whatever. You're not supposed to move out of your parents' house until you're married. That's just the rule. And I've had so many arguments and discussions and just long talks about why that is. And really, bottom line, the only conclusion I can come to is it's a form of control. And they want to, have close eyes and watch over these people that, aren't getting married or not doing what they're supposed to do. And so you can't move out. You essentially can't do your own thing in the order if you're not married. It's really weird, but it's just one of their ways of controlling people. John Billings says, the pay is so good, it doesn't really affect me. Okay. And I would assume with the job that you have, if gas prices go up, then your pay would have to go up with it, right? Because that's like a huge part of your job. Denise was talking about a debit card. Okay, that makes sense. When I was a kid in New Zealand, Todd says, if the parents are stealing their kids' money, that is not a problem with the requirement of being 18. It's a problem with the parents. Exactly. Yeah. That's why this could be a huge reason why the laws, that like the government and the people who create the laws, who are they, by the way? But they probably didn't think they had to worry about this. Like, who's going to think their parents are going to try to steal money from their own kids, And in the order, I find that, it's extremely common, and it's almost like they do it as a sense of control, Like, they want you to feel that you need them, and them having your finances, having your money, is another sense of that control. They control you, basically. Like, the order is basically a master at creating free, I don't want to say slave-like control, but they cultivate this lifestyle of people being forced and controlled into whatever they need them to be. And it's scary. It's definitely something that I ran very far away from for a reason. But I feel like the reason why I like this topic so much is because it can be applied to not just cult environments. Like, why is it such an issue that people would be either like having their kids work over the legal amount of time, first of all, and why would they need such control over their finances and their money, you know? There's this one video that I saw that I really liked. I'm going to try and attempt to show it on the screen, but it's going to be like from my phone, so a screen to a screen. Don't know how well it'll work, but it just shares a very great example of like the very first ever time implementing a type of financial understanding to kids, like talking about allowances and stuff. So I'm going to play this little video. It's probably not going to look very good, but hopefully at least the sound will come through. I'm going to hold it pretty close to the phone. And then this will probably be one of the last things that I'll have time to talk about on this live. But I found this very fascinating, so I just want to share this. Here we go.
On Tuesday, for example, 12-year-old is supposed to clean his room.
It's mostly just the sound you need, actually. Okay. Yeah, the video is just an old guy.
Hasn't been done. A smart parent, without warning. Warnings are disrespectful acts. For example, 12-year-old is supposed to clean his room on Tuesdays and Saturdays, okay? And it's Tuesday night. It hasn't been done. A smart parent, without warning. Warnings are disrespectful acts. There's another one that throws parents for a loop. Don't warn your kids. Somewhere it's written you're supposed to warn them. I don't know where it is, but it's not good advice. Bushwhack them. Surprise them. So hire 10-year-old sister to go clean 12-year-old's room. Pay for it out of 12-year-old's allowance. That's what I call let the reality of the situation become the teacher to the child. To be real frank, he doesn't care for his sister that much to begin with. And for him to find out that creep was even in his room, he's not a happy dude. Now he loses $5 out of his allowance for housekeeping services rendered. You have his attention. For example, 12-year-old is supposed.
So basically, I don't know who that guy is, but he's just giving advice on getting the kids to clean their rooms and using money to teach them the like financial principle behind it, like the real life scenario of this. And so he shares an example of a 12-year-old that didn't clean their room. So they pay the 10-year-old to go and clean the 12-year-old's room, but they use the 12-year-old's allowance to pay that 10-year-old. And so it kind of is teaching that boy the value of cleaning his room, what he gets out of it, how that allowance is for them to, like, you know, do their chores, do what their job is as a kid, keeping their stuff clean. And if they don't do that, you know, then the other sibling that does that work will get the money. And to me, I know like some people might see this contradicting as, oh, then you're putting the siblings to fight against each other or whatnot. Hopefully, like I like the idea that siblings hopefully get along and actually like each other and wouldn't take this as like a rivalry type of thing. But I love that it would be a teaching moment to be able to help the kids understand that you don't force your kids. Your kids should not ever have to be forced. You should never have to like beat them with the bloody pole. You should never have to like feel the need to like punish them or be so controlling over them to force them and demand them to do things. And I know different ages, it does vary and stuff like that, but I love this idea of that you're not going to force them, that they do have every right. Just like as adults, if we wanted to live in a crappy home and a crappy apartment, like we can do that. Like that's one of the rights of being a human being, you know, but there is value that comes from, you know, going to work, doing your job. And at least in our world, in our day and age right now, currency is the main motivator. Currency is a big part of why a lot of us go to work and do the things that we need to so we can pay for the things that we want. And so I feel like this is a life principle that is extremely valuable for a 12-year-old to start learning and understanding these principles and these concepts of money and jobs. I think that's what's super valuable. That's something that whole idea and that principle is just something that I think is very valuable for young kids to be able to learn and for parents to implement to still, you know, get things done in their house and teach a like healthy, constructive environment from what I think. But of course, you know, I feel like there's other angles to look at it as well. And, you know, it does depend on what your relationship with your kids is. But I don't know, man. It's crazy. Let's see what all you guys are saying. Sorry, I'm almost out of time. I'm trying to get everything in before I have to finish up this live, but let's see. My parents made me keep my room clean and didn't pay me anything for it. Yeah, I feel like that's very common. And yeah, depending on like what type of environment you're raised in, like the expectations are very different. Everyone has different expectations. Everyone has different parenting styles. I love and support allowances 100%. That's what Abigail says. Eskel, you're dreaming. What? You don't think that's a realistic way to like teach kids? I'm curious. My room was my own responsibility. We had to keep our rooms clean to do chores. Or what? What was the consensus? You mean consequence? What do you mean? Or what? Amanda says, did you just say beat them with a bloody pole? LOL. Didn't mom say it? Beat them to a bloody pulp? Is that even a saying? LOL IDK anymore. Mom said weird things. What? I thought mom said beat them with a bloody pole. That's why I said that. Did she say beat them to a bloody pulp? That wouldn't make any sense, Amanda. I'm pretty sure she said a bloody pole. But I guess we'll have to fact check that one. I had to help with outside farm stuff without extra pay, like weeding or cutting off lambs' tails. So, Denise, yeah, can I ask you? I know this might be kind of personal, but were there consequences or punishments then if you didn't do it? Because it sounds like you're saying that you did the farm chores without extra pay. Was there a base pay? Was there any pay at all? Or was there purely only consequences that would come from you not doing it? Todd says, I got an allowance when I was real young. When I was a high school senior, I worked, but I had to give my dad $20 a week. He would then use it to send to me when I was in college. Okay. See, that's cool, Todd, because then that's just a type of savings. Like with rent, like I was like, I mean, it's illegal to charge your kids rent and stuff, but it wouldn't technically be rent, but you could still call it rent, I guess, in theory. If it wouldn't be a bad idea to encourage your kids to put aside $100 a month for this supposed rent, right? That is just going towards, their career or their car or their, something. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. When will the lambs stop crying? My mom also says sayings wrong all the time. Each chore was $1 amount. You got more when you didn't have to prompt them to do the chore. See, that's interesting. That's kind of teaching them to be self-sufficient, to like get in and figure out for themselves what needs to be done rather than being robotic. If everything's systematic and they do everything because they have this checklist, then it could become a problem of them just being basically robotic in all the things that they do. Amanda says, my mom and aunt always missy things. What? Like my aunt says, you're so bolivious. She's trying to say you're so oblivious. Nice. Yeah, I remember that. Amanda says she also called GPSs a GS tracker. LOL. Yeah, Hamdy Downs. Amanda, you're right. Off topic, but I received my candle yesterday, Eskel, and I love it. His new summer scent is awesome, guys. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Lisa was the winner. She was the first one ever to get one of my summer candles. I think she got this one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is the blood orange sandalwood mixture. That's like just a summery, like kind of like citrusy. It's not super citrusy though. I didn't want it to be super citrusy, but it's a really good summery scent. And then this one also is the other part of the summer. This one is lilac and rose, so like very flowery. But yeah, I just created my summer scents. They're on Amanda's website. You can go and order them if you like candles. These ones turned out really good. I like them. Todd says, Amanda, I think my dad is still trying to figure out how to download the internet to his phone. LOL. I agree with you, but Eskel thinks it is bloody pole. LOL. I never heard that one. What? I thought that's what it was, Amanda. Maybe I just misheard it. LMAO, Todd, LOL. Why is this topic so funny to me? We always did it. We were punished for other things like not doing home when we were supposed to, but punishment was no dinner and go to your room. Okay. Interesting. Thanks for putting the link in there, Denise, for justcultytingz.com, where you can order Amanda's paintings, my candles, and whatever else Amanda's got on there. The scents sound awesome. Unfortunately, scented candles always make my face hurt. Yeah, some people have allergies. So these ones are a soy wax. So not too many people have soy wax allergies, but some people, then they like the beeswax kind, or not as many people have allergies to them and stuff. I've made some batches with beeswax, but these ones are soy wax for this batch. But yeah. Honestly, the fear of disappointment was a big thing then. Oh, that's interesting, Denise. Can I pick your brain some more? Fear of disappointment. My psychologist referenced that to a type of psychological form of control, of basically making kids feel a little bit like, I guess that, I don't know the best way to say it, but like, the idea of honor, like honoring your father and your mother, honor your parents, like basically scaring the kids from making mistakes, not out of like punishments necessarily, but the fact that like the parents will be disappointed in them. And I don't know if I fully agree with this, but I thought this was an interesting idea that my psychology teacher shared. He said disappointment is another form of them saying that they don't love you. And I don't know exactly how it was, but I don't know how I feel about all this, but I thought it was very interesting him sharing this, because he tied it to the whole idea of live this way or do these things or I won't love you. So it's a psychological form of using love to get what you want out of the person. Did you ever feel that, Denise? I'm not saying that's the case with your parents or anything, but did you ever feel a lack of love from your parents, or do you feel like that's completely different? Right, totally agree. I think that is why more parents are turning away from that. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you feel similar in that. Okay, that's fascinating. Yeah, because when I heard him say that, I was like, wow, I've always struggled with wondering if my parents really love me or not. And that's a huge thing. They always put this type of disappointment or dishonoring them in their type of language when they're telling me like what I need to do and stuff like that. So it sounds like it was definitely a common thing, but I don't know. Everyone's different. Eskel, could I order a specific lilac one without the rose? Yeah, for sure. In fact, I don't know how we're gonna do this yet, but yeah, if you just tell me exactly what mixture you want, and then I can send you the different types of cups, like coffee cups, mugs that I have, and I can do custom made coffee mug candles for anyone that wants to. They're a little more expensive because they're bigger, and I would have to go out and buy that specific scent and stuff like that. But then it can be completely personalized, customized by you personally, however you want, and you can pick the cup that it goes into as well. So I think that could be pretty fun. Just message me on Instagram, or Amanda said there's a way on her website. I think her website's a little more confusing, but you can try to go in the website and put custom requests in somewhere where you type things in or whatever. Sorry, I don't know. Just Instagram message me is probably the easiest, but you can always try the website thing if you want. Emotional blackmail. How long has Eskel been live? Oh yeah, this has been a while. I probably should go. We've been a little over an hour now, but don't listen to them. You're doing great. It was more socially how it was than to, I never thought it was connected to not loving me, just that I wanted to make good choices. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because it's I don't want to say the words wrong, but the psychology professor, I want to make sure I'm saying that right, but he had a whole lesson on it, and a lot of the students had questions, so we focused the whole class on that. And the part that stood out to me the most was the fact that he said that it's a type of parents trying to control kids or get something out of the kids, and using the form of I won't love you unless this happens, or you do this, or you're this way. And it's really sad because then in essence it's basically saying I only love a certain version of you. Like, how messed up is that? It's like, I don't love you as a person. I love like the perfect version of you. Like, if you can be perfect and be exactly how I want you to be, then I love you. But I don't actually love you as you are. You know, it's like, that's pretty messed up. That's kind of sad. Oh, anyways, awesome. I think this is great. You guys shared so much, so many comments this time. So thanks for being a part of the discussion. Thanks for chit-chatting with me about child laws and labor laws and everything. I think this was very interesting. I'm going to go back through the comments and do some more research. And on Wednesday, I go live on my Patreon. So if you guys want to be more into the discussion and be a part of more of these lives and see more videos that I post, go check out my Patreon. It's in the link below. And this Wednesday, I'm going to be having Amanda on my Patreon. Hopefully around 12 is the rough time we're trying to aim for. But yeah, this Wednesday at 12, I'll be going live again on Patreon, and Amanda should be there as well. We're going to do like this virtual combined live on Patreon. Amanda also has a Patreon too. She goes lives on Mondays. She talks about serial killers and stuff that I can't quite handle. I get creeped out when watching like murder mystery documentaries, or like she's reading this book right now about like the world's top murderers and serial killers and stuff. That's what she talks about on her Patreon. It's interesting if you like that kind of stuff, but I have a hard time watching those, but they're still fun. She's super funny. Her Patreons are always fun. All of her lives are really fascinating and fun to listen to. So go check out hers as well. Her Patreon link is in my description also. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a great week. And of course, I'll be live again next week, usually around 5 p.m., roughly around the same time. So I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a great week. Bye.